That's a that's a good topic.
Oh God,
There's
inshallah.
there's grocery prices, which ties into the inflation.
Of course, of course.
Um, Looks like another video. 8,500 Microsoft workers told to leave. So it looks like more people got laid off from Microsoft. So that's always
85,000.
fun.
Uh,
8,500.
8,500 people. That doesn't seem. I mean, then again, AI is taking everyone's jobs nowadays, so I don't really see the problem anymore because I feel like people are slowly are accepting it like the industrial revolution back in 1920. You know, we might as well accept it because they're not gonna stop anytime soon, just like the Rockefellers.
The problem with AI is that, I mean, obviously with the line of work that we're in, not to whatever, but that's eventually going to replace us. It's
In
going to
like
replace all,
5 or 8 years, in my opinion, when it comes to our work. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like it's only inevitable,
yeah. Inevitability is not
unfortunately.
today, thank God.
Well, this is going to be a little controversial too, but there's two things in life that are guaranteed: death and taxes.
Death and taxes, yes, sir. It's the only way to move, honestly. you. It also comes back to the tides of killed or be killed kind of situation. I never really liked that philosophy, but the more and more I think about it, the more and more I'm buying into it because of
Well,
how like people are super individualistic. Especially, I could see it in real life too. You know, our workplace, the mall, the park. People are like
uh,
spiritually separated, if that makes any sense.
no, it really does. And a huge example of that, in my opinion, is driving. Like being on the road. Like every time you're out on the road, it's a gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
You got people cutting you off. You got people brake checking you. And mind you, like I'm not trying to do anything crazy. I'm just trying
Yep.
to pass you in the passing lane. So why are you going below the speed limit? And
Absolutely. Like, the other day when I was on the highway, uh, this fucking weirdo just cut me off because I was going too slow. On a stop sign, by the way. We're supposed to go 25, like what the rule says. But then he goes, fuck the rules, I'm just running through the stop sign. And the worst part is, he has to stop in every red light. So karma really got him. What's the rush, buddy? I just want to know.
yeah, you got people that do all that. They'll cut you off, they'll brake check you, then they'll literally just be sitting there with you at the next light, just like well,
Well, this is awkward.
hey, how you doing?
No, honestly, like, that's the reason why I don't ever want to get into a road rage situation because, one, you really have to try to get me angry on the road because I'm usually playing music 90% of the time, and that always keeps the bad thoughts away, especially the intrusive ones. But thankfully, we have society to thank for the rules and all that. But
I
the problem
yeah.
with society now is just the fact that they're just accepting all these creeps and weirdos and they're suppressing, like, I don't want to say good people, more like at least decent or moderate when it comes to manners, at least.
Well, you can tie in social media and technology with everything too. Everyone has such a short attention span, and everyone is so easily distracted when it comes to just real life in general. It all just translates to the cars with 2026 models that are all equipped with huge iPad screens that go across one side of the dash to
Mm-hmm.
the other.
Yeah.
So
And also, I can't say it's all bad. We like it like I always say we take the good with the bad because that's the only thing we can accept. So the good things about society so far is that they leave me alone. You know, no one's really walking up to me and asking questions. You know, I always like that when I'm like traveling solo. Like, it feels very peaceful nowadays. Some people say it's a little too peaceful, but that's fine with me. Cause if I really want to bother and or talk to somebody on the street or at the mall or at the park, I would. I just don't. The people who have a problem with it is the people who have so who societally, not societally, not intellectually innocent. how do I say it? Ethan, help me out real quick. It's not manners either,
Well, you have
because
people
they
that have
don't.
situational awareness, and you got the people that don't.
Oh,
I
there
mean,
you
it's
go.
the equivalent.
Situational
It's
awareness. There you go.
it's the equivalent of someone at your job that doesn't wear deodorant or doesn't wear cologne and walks in and out the warehouse stinking, but there's no consideration for anyone else. They don't care. It's their way. It's their way or the highway. And no matter how much you talk to them, it'll be the same way.
Yeah, and that's also the worst part too. It really takes a shit ton of programming and propaganda to get through these people. And even if and they I feel like at this point we humans just don't like the truth. We can only tolerate it.
Well, that's the whole thing with the government, God knows how much they're, holding back from us,
Mm.
even when it comes to technology. I think I heard something, don't quote me here, where it's like, everything that we know and have, they're basically like, 20, 30 years ahead, give or
Oh
take.
yeah, it's
I
been
believe
that
it.
way. It's been that way since, in my opinion, the the 1800s.
Pretty much after the Industrial Revolution or during it or
I feel like it's older. Only reason why I say older is because of I'm a superstitious kind of guy, Ethan. Yeah, you're gonna learn a lot about me tonight. But the whole magic thing, you know, I do believe in magic in a not even a spiritual way, but more like a physical way. Like for example, Aleister Crowley. If you ever heard about that cultist magician, uh,
no, do tell.
it's the I think the Hidden Order of the Golden Dawn or some shit like that. But basically, he owned. This is one of his stories anyway. He owned one of. Holy shit, I can't speak. He held property up in Scotland. He had a home over there and got all his wizard buddies in a cult basically that he made, and he named it something something of the Golden Dawn. I wish I could remember the actual name, but at one point, long story short, he his he had a fallout with his people, and they started having a whole magic duel. Like they're throwing curses at each other, shooting hexes, throwing secret magic signs everywhere in the house. Like this is some like spy level shit, but magic version. And apparently, with the witnesses in the house, which is like what 15 people in there, maybe more than that, says that the magic was actually happening while they were living there, and that's kind of creepy. And that's just technically recent history back in around the 60s and 70s. I could be wrong about the dates, but it's pretty interesting, and I think the government knows obviously more about magic now, or technology as we call it, huh? See what it did there. And one of the biggest and oldest technologies are songs. Songs have been the magic spellcasters, or songwriters and singers have been the magic casters for like all a millennia, if you think about it. Because guess what's influencing everybody? Well, when it comes to the normies, anyway. Uh, when it comes to acting right, that's right. The Hollywood stars that sing and stuff. Whoever worships celebrities are just like low IQ, and I kind of believe that, honestly.
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree with that. People that like absolutely worship and like follow every step of like a certain, person that, just by society gave them this kind of, made believe status, but also at the same time, they have access to a lot of power, a lot of money. So it kind
Mm.
of, solidifies it.
Money
And,
is the wand to their magic. That's the thing.
huge perfect example, Coachella that just happened. Justin Bieber got paid the most out of everyone, like $10 million to perform. And
Damn.
I think he sang a little bit, but for the most part he was sitting on stage going through YouTube playlists with his old songs, which I think there was some kind of contractual thing where that was like a loophole for him to be able to perform his songs. But either way,
Mm.
it's like to get paid $10 million and then have, these people that, waited in line since, 6 in the morning for a concert that's, 14 hours later or whatever it was,
Holy
paying
shit.
thousands of dollars for Coachella, it's just like it's crazy what people are willing to do to see a certain person.
Mm-hmm. Ain't that the truth? I'm not much of a celebrity worshiper, but I used to be, only for this one musician. His name is John Mayer. He has one of the greatest guitar skills I've ever seen in my entire lifetime. I wish I lived back in the 70s and, like, 40s, just to see how guitarists and musicians, like, came up and everything, and see their techniques just get learned over time
Well,
and adapt. And that is the guitar's final version of a musician, John Mayer.
Well, you got to think too. Back in like this, back before a lot of this electronical AI music kind of stuff that has come around a lot more recently. You actually had to be able to be, musically or instrumentally talented to be able to, create a song, be in a band. So I understand. I understand the cult following when it comes to people, especially when it
Oh
comes to
yeah,
musicians.
oh yeah.
Circling back to what you were talking about before.
Magic spells, man. It's in the lyrics. It's like follow me, worship me. And that also reminds me of forever ago on YouTube. They played the Pokemon theme backwards, and all you hear is "All hail Satan, all hail Satan."
You know, you know.
I always
Not
thought
only
that the
that,
Karens back in the '90s, when they got the Satan scare or whatever the cause of that is. Oh, it's the Satanic Panic. There you go. It reminds me of that, but I think they might be onto something back in the day. They legitimately might have seen like demons and shit, and Gen X, millennials, and obviously us now just kind of reject that slightly because of like how strict religion is, especially me because I came from like a Muslim household. Quit that shit a long time ago. Never coming back to that ever again.
and it was, I'm guessing, your family and your parents
Oh yeah,
influenced you when you were younger. It was the same way.
absolutely. Hmm.
Different religion, same situation when I was a kid. As soon as I,
Ooh, let me
got
guess.
to adulthood, I disassociated from a lot of it, kind of
Oh
got
yeah.
my own views from everything, and, just kept it moving from there.
All right. I want to say it's Catholic.
Me?
Yeah.
Religion?
Mhm.
We're not recording, are we?
Oh, we're recording.
All right. Well, let's just say it's the one that's controversial, to keep it that way. It's something that I'm not very happy
Controversial.
about because
Oh,
of,
I
again,
understand now. Okay.
wrapping around that climate and that environment. You know what I mean? That's not something that I'm not proud about, but again, just the way things are, kind of have to be afraid of things these days.
Of course, of course. It's only for your safety, whatever.
Exactly,
I
exactly. And it's,
understand that.
I wish we lived in a world where that wasn't the case, but unfortunately, for me, as long as you're minding your own business and doing your own thing, that's
Mhm.
all that matters. But
No, same here. I'm kind of embarrassed to even talk about my religion on the internet right now. When I say old school, it's pretty damn old school. Like we're talking about 800 BC.
my thing too, to each their own. Again, if that's what you practice, hey, that's great. I'm happy
Mhm.
for you.
Right, right,
But
right.
I guess when it comes to my own views, I know there's life, there's death, and there's something, there's something after. Have no idea what it is,
Oh, you're more
but
like theist than anything? Not atheist, but theist.
well, I'm more of a firm believer of like the glass door theory, where you don't necessarily just die. You kind of just go to the next situation.
Hmm.
It's kind of like a seamless, pass through to the next, maybe life, maybe,
Oh, like
reincarnation.
reincarnation kind of thing?
It's kind of like the glass half full way of thinking. Like it's not just dark lights out when you die. Pretty
Oh,
much.
gotcha, gotcha. Well,
But
eh, I mean, I could say a little bit about my religion. I'll say it eventually when I'm ready. But it's all based on luck. It really is. I have this little daily prayer that I do to a god that I worship, and I roll like four 6-sided die, 4 6-sided dice, and I roll them every morning and night, or at least try to remember to, so that I could be consistent. I've been doing it for like a good 5, almost 6 years now, and it has been fulfilling because I felt like humans really had a good idea when it comes to religion, but the execution was just bad because it could easily be corrupted because we made it as human beings. If there really is a God, why would it be so flawed, if that makes any sense? Or did he do that on purpose to make it more challenging for us to keep faith with him? Even though it's kind of oxymoronic to do?
I think it's really tough because everyone has their own rendition of, a higher power, right? Just
Yeah.
like me, just like you. But, everyone just like has their own unique personalities and viewpoints and opinions, you know, around the world, to the very individual. Everyone's going to be thinking a little differently. Sometimes on the similar page, but, everyone's thinking, in their own way, more or less.
Right, and that
All
goes back to my belief in luck. Like, there's two black six-sided dice and two clear green six-sided dice, and whichever, obviously green is for good luck, black is for bad luck. That's just how I interpret the dice anyway. I roll it, and this morning, let me see the book. This morning, I have rolled 6-6 on black and 6-5 on green, which therefore I'm only missing a point of good luck. Over time, and how the day goes, you'll basically collect karma points to yourself. Like any good or bad deed that you do, it gets added onto the bad luck that you already rolled this morning, and
right. Okay.
that will
Okay. I can
basically
understand.
determine what kind of potential situations you're going to be in. Like if I just talk to a coworker about a secret and I start spreading it, that's really bad karma. That's gonna bite
Right.
my ass later. All right. So what if one day I rolled like a full, just like today, a 6-6, on black, and only a snake eyes on green? That's crazy. That's a sign, and I believe in superstition and bad omens and hexes and curses and all that. So I just want to be sure.
No,
I
I
have a
agree with that.
paranoid, I have a paranoid kind of uh not personality, feeling everywhere I go ever since I was a Muslim.
Have you ever heard the saying "bad things come in three"?
Hold up, repeat that.
Bad things come in three.
Yeah.
Like usually, when something bad happens, it's not the only bad thing that's going to happen to you. Usually, it comes two other times. It
As
it was
long.
something that was told to me,
Mhm.
and I kind of started noticing it. And it's not always 100%, but it's kind of true. Usually it's not one thing. Usually something happens, and then there's a couple other things that kick you down in the process.
No, yeah, it's all a domino effect. That's where all the karma points comes around. Whichever one's heavier in your head, it will lean to good or to bad luck. And let me tell you something. I'm always good on my side when it comes to good luck, even if I have a bad roll. I try to be a good person every day. That's basically the gist of the religion, and
You're
luck rewards me.
you're a huge believer of karma, good and bad karma.
Mostly because I've seen it multiple times at this point to not be karma. You know,
Yeah,
because
I do. I
there's a
understand.
bunch
It's
of
like it's
people that
different.
backstab
Yeah.
me, but people can say that. After this, I'll just let you talk. But I've seen people backstab me, and I've seen them get backstabbed or just have a worse life as I go away or stay away from them entirely. It's like I've outgrown them, but not really. It's more like I got out of a bad situation when it got hot. Like I just knew, and that was pretty lucky of me. My nickname to myself is the luckiest man in the universe, and it shows personally every day because
Amen
I
to
got a
that.
roof over my head. I got some friends. I got some coworkers.
Hmm.
Uh, Life is all about people, man, and I'm living the dream. Technically, I just wish my financial resources were a lot better, but hey, a man can dream, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing, especially right now in our environment. Jobs are far and few between. So if you got a job right now and you can tolerate that job, and it gives you enough money to pay the bills, you're doing a hell of a lot better than a lot of other people out there. I can tell you that much. And tying on to that good and bad karma, I'm a firm believer where, like, if you do some bad things usually come at you. It might not be immediate, but it's same with doing good things. Holding the door for someone, little to big. It all kind of wraps around itself. Like, for example, every time before I drive, like the Buddhist yin and yang, just the peace, calm, and happiness, all that kind of stuff. That's what I tell myself, and that's what I keep in my head before I drive, because it's just not worth getting into road rage situations. It's not worth getting angry.
Oh
Does it
yeah.
sometimes work better than others? Absolutely. But, like, it's just what I manifest usually tends to happen. If I drive angry, usually more bad things are going to happen versus going into a calm.
And the funny thing is, I'm such a skeptic. I'm even skeptic of my made-up religion. Technically, it's not made up because there was a bunch of cults back in Rome, but that's a whole nother story. Um, I just I try to test my faith to myself every single day, just so that I can keep up with the omens and the signs and all that. And it has been going very well for me, my good sir, because my lucky numbers are 11, 3, 9, and I'm pretty sure 11, 3, and 9. Yeah, those are my three lucky numbers, and I see them everywhere, all the time. And and just in case anything bad happens, if you see any kind of, well, for me personally, if I see a 4, for example, if I get a bag of M&Ms and only 4 come out, yeah, I'm not eating the last one. Because 4 in Chinese means death. Therefore, it's cursed and or bad luck. I don't know if it applies in America, but just in case, I'm not eating that fourth M&M. I don't know what's gonna happen, but something's gonna happen if I eat that. And I've learned the big difference between the number 4 and multiple of 4. Because multiple of 4 isn't bad, it just has to be a singular 4. So I try to avoid looking at the clock around 4 o'clock, but my god, every time it gets me. It really
Huh.
does. And
Well,
my faith has been pretty much sealed and confirmed that I'm a firm believer of luck. So because every time I doubt myself, some good happens to show me that I have good luck on my side, and Lady Luck is basically smiling upon me. And it feels very comforting. And that's the point of religion. It gives you comfort spiritually, whatever spiritual looks like in the afterlife, if we even do have a soul, and we're not just a bunch of meat bags, you know.
yeah, hopefully it's just not like a black screen, something
Yeah,
like that.
that'd be
That's
kind of
that's
lame.
basically all I want to avoid. Long story short,
No, honestly, yeah.
like, just give me something other than that would be fantastic. And tying into what you're saying, a lot of that luck and, like, good manifestation, is kind of earned as well. Earned through you. At the end of the day, a saying I like to go by is, like, you're the captain of your own ship.
Oh
Not too
yeah.
long ago, I owed a lot of different places money. I was in debt. I could admit that,
Uh huh.
and one by one, I paid everything off. And thank God now I'm, debt free. But, it was a journey getting there,
Oh yeah.
it wasn't earned by going to not going to work and saying, I give up and quitting my job. It working extra hours, making sure I, made enough money to pay off these debts. And, life rewarded me as I got older, instead of, hurting me more, because I see all these stories all the time, with TikTok. TikTok's a
Oh yeah.
huge gateway there, where these people, put their entire lives on blast. And it's just, people are
It's
just chronic spenders. It
right.
just, it's insane.
Thank God we're not any of them. Thank God.
I learned my lessons from being young. Like I said, I used to spend money like it was nothing. And, fortunately, I was able to take those lessons and rebound from that. But other people don't learn. a lot of people don't learn, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's kind of a sad thing, especially on TikTok. I just feel no, it's a fact that's kind of disgusting that you have a live diary of everything you do on the internet. Like, are we the same America that distrusts our government? Like, we all realize that, right? That they're just spying on us with
Oh, it's
TikTok.
even better.
Like,
No, what makes it
are we
better?
just dumb
America
now?
bought it.
Huh?
China doesn't even own it. It's America that owns it now.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, no, they bought it. So now not only does America own it, but now a lot of those creators that overshare don't get money for it anymore. Like that creator fund is gone.
Wow, that's
People do
actually
not make money.
crazy.
Yeah, no, not to chime in there, but like literally they're just sharing right to the government at this point. It's not even, a foreign country anymore.
Which is absolutely insane to me that you would even give even a cent of your personality, let alone your history on Earth, to the government. That's they're just archiving the shit out of you, man. They're just using that for blackmail eventually. I just know it. But that's my paranoid feeling that I get every time I go outside.
Hey, it's the equivalent of people that overshare, them doing 140 miles an hour on the highway on a motorcycle. You know what I mean? Like people like post felonies online like it's a flex. It's not even like a people want to avoid it. People just dive right into it these days. It's
Mm. It's
surreal.
disheartening at the very least because I always thought that when I'm older, I'm going to be just like the adults that I see in the movies. Responsible, uh, you know, having a whole family. This is not what I expected. I still feel the same, and people are not growing up. I shouldn't. I would know. I'm technically one of them, and I say that because sometimes I feel irresponsible, but then I realize I'm also paying rent. So, I also pay rent. Got to pay my own bills. I have my own life. So, outside of my family, obviously, that's what I meant when it comes to life. And man, man, oh man, it's hard for everybody nowadays. I think that's the moral of the story. And
Well,
the
yeah,
hard
I
part is
agree.
that the hard part to see is that when they have a bad day, they just start ranting on TikTok. What the hell, guys? Like
Yeah,
it's
but I don't really
1984
blame people either.
everywhere.
No,
I'm sorry, you keep talking.
I don't blame people for doing that either. I mean, you got to think about just with inflation and everything, even going back 10 years, how unobtainable living on your own is these days compared to not too long ago.
Right. I wish I lived back in what 2002 as an adult, because I would be having my own house, just riding this terrible wave of American history right now in my own house, in the safety of my own house per se. Two
Hmm.
shotguns, two dogs, everything. At least one girlfriend and or wife. But
It's funny that you say
sadly,
2002 because anything probably pre 2008 housing crash. You were probably
yeah.
having a decent life. Yeah.
Because after the 2008 crash, everything just went to shit.
Hmm.
Especially when Obama got into presidency. He really did nothing as a president. He only
No.
just bombed people and called it a day.
Hey, listen, man. But Michelle Obama got the healthy lunches in school. Don't forget that.
And she also made the vegan monster. I can't believe that. They really try to ruin Sesame Street with the vegan. But let me tell you, I was still watching PBS, alright? I was not allowed to watch hardcore stuff at all back when I was a kid, and I was really into the lore of Sesame Street. Why the hell is a veggie monster doing here? Man tried to replace Cookie Monster and it did not work. I'm sorry.
I remember being in school, and I remember the school lunches became terrible.
Mm-hmm. It's just they tried. At least they tried, but it's not enough.
Well, yeah, sure. We can go into it. Just with recent times. Is just how aggressive inflation is. I went to the gas station today, and my car takes premium gas, which is on me. That's
Jesus Christ.
100% on me.
Mm-hmm.
Gas was $5.29 a gallon. And you
Oh
know
my
what?
god.
This falls into to the whole category of, I live fine for myself, but God forbid I ever wanted to start a family and have kids. I would have to have a second job just to afford daycare for that kid.
No, ain't that the truth? And speaking of daycare, God, it's so it's so sad to see like homeschooling get trashed on all the time back in the day because now people going in or the kids going into uh, public schools are just not having either a good time or not learning anything at all.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And not only that is, kids, kids safety in school, you don't know if sending your kid to school if you're going to see him again, which, probably you will, but again, history repeats itself. It can only happen so many times until you look and you think, oh man, maybe homeschool kids, maybe that wasn't the worst idea ever.
Right. And only reason why I even said that is I used to be the crowd or the kids that says homeschool is kind of lame. You don't really see people as much, you know. But that was back in public school where they actually kind of gave a damn because they still had home ec in middle school. They never had that back in high school.
Nice.
They only had wood shop, and that was the last blue collar thing they had. And I'm pretty sure they took those out back in 2011, 2012. It was a sad time. And I also hated middle school.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
and
no,
also,
that's
what not to do. Um, what's not worth doing? Dude, thank God for TikTok. Alright? We take the good and the bad, like we said before. Because these teachers putting like flies on food, bro, when you wave a hand over. They can't stand that. They can't stand the kids. It's bad parenting left and right, man. It really does come back to the family. And you can't even be a family either nowadays because everyone's working, being all busy and stuff with like their personal lives too. They can't really raise the kids. They expect the public schools to start raising them now.
how are you supposed to have a vacation when everything is three times as expensive, but the minimum wage hasn't gone up at all, which I understand. If the minimum wage goes up, everything else goes up, but it's just so disproportionate at this point. Again,
Mm-hmm.
being a single person, or being a dual income household with no kids is one thing, but again, there used to be a population crisis. There used to be too many people. Now not enough people are having kids, and you can
Oh
see
yeah.
why. It's not hard to see why.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's also economic too. It's the the dating scene. I've heard horror stories about that. No one likes each other now. Whether where the hell did this gender war come from? Back in my day, we just get along with everybody, no matter what gender. It's like they're poking, not poking. It's like they're pointing at us with swords that we did something, you know?
It's the fast dating culture where or not only just fast dating, but it's hookup culture, it's TikTok, it's the fact that being a kid, you're not really a kid anymore with social media. Everything's exposed to you right off the rip.
Oh
you
yeah.
know there's no being a kid for a little bit and then slowly getting introduced to things in life. It's all right there, it's all available. It's as soon as you open up any of those apps, and really it's only up to the parents' discretion to stop kids from having phones and iPads. And I'm not saying that either, because realistically it's unsafe for a kid not to have a phone.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we have these mini adults walking around in school that don't respect teachers. I agree with you. Swinging back to that topic, teachers are losing their jobs left and right. A lot of layoffs are happening across the country. That
Oh
is
yeah.
not a safe job position to have. And even if you are a teacher, you're not getting paid enough for what you're doing, most likely.
Dude, I'd rather work at McDonald's than being paid or I'd rather work at McDonald's than work as a teacher because the shit they had to go through, I'm not swinging at a kid. But if a kid swings at me, I'm sorry. This is the real world, buddy. If you're gonna do that, there's some consequences coming your way.
Listen, all it takes is one statement, and I'm keeping this very vague. All it takes is one false statement to not only, end your career, but put you in prison. And I'm not saying that's not always the case. Things always happen, but I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying you're around people that aren't fully developed yet, but at the same time have access to absolutely everything. It's, not to get too far off the deep end here, but let's talk about AI for a second.
Oh boy, let
How
me see.
how are you supposed to have a test or give out homework or make a kid learn when everything can be looked up by AI. Everything can be done with AI.
And the worst part is the kids are right. Why the hell would I study math, science, and technology if I have all the answers in a palm of my hands?
Right.
Like this is the final form of the internet in general, AI. We're gonna have like neural links, like what Elon Musk is doing. By the way, never putting that shit in my head ever, ever. And that's just gonna be the future from now. We're just gonna have all the information of humanity inside our heads, and you know, make us like robots. Basically, I think that's what the companies are trying to do right now. Let me tell you something. I'd rather live alone than to interact with the world when everyone becomes a robot. Because let me tell you something. I tried to become a robot like I want to say 10 years ago, just because of how depressed I was. But thank God I'm out of that rut, and it's not fun. Everyone gets a kick out of you. They really do.
When you say robot, you mean like kind of like NPC behavior?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
NPC
All
behavior.
right.
No
All right.
thought
Yeah,
in your
that's
head.
exactly.
The lights are not on in that house. No one's home.
Yeah.
No intellectual thoughts, and that's going to be the end for me when it comes to humanity. We lost at that point.
Well, and here's
But
the
I
thing
could
too.
be. I'm sorry, you keep talking.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
But here's the thing, though. I do want to be optimistic about it. Obviously, there's always going to be freedom fighters of thought. I'm going to be hanging around with them, if anything. Because this might as well be like a Black Mirror episode. I'd rather not get chased by NPCs. Talking about some bullshit. Okay?
And it's funny too because we're talking about NPCs. If the exact people I'm talking about that are on the road, the same people that are sitting in the passing lane going under the seat, under the speed limit. These are the same people that are at work that are getting in your way at work because again, there's no thought going through their head. They're just there. They're just existing.
Yeah, just
You know,
getting a check. Which I
the lights are on,
understand.
but no one's home.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so sad to see. I don't think they even know that they have free will because they're just kind of going with the flow. And me personally, I'm tired of going with the flow nowadays. I think YouTube legitimately changed my life when it comes to like being proactive in my goals. Like everything's slowly changing around me, only because I did one small little thing. That's some good luck right there. You know, good omen,
Hey,
very good omen.
yeah, no, that's great, man. Because really, this is the first time I've ever talked on a podcast, and this is not my first attempt at social media.
Hmm.
I've had just stupid reels, on Instagram Reels when that first came out, had a decent amount of numbers. I've attempted on TikTok, I've attempted on YouTube with gaming in the
Hmm.
past, and you know, I keep getting drawn back to social media. That's the point that I'm trying to get at here.
I see. I see.
I think it is the future when it comes to passive income, and it's nothing new either,
Oh yeah, people have
unfortunately.
been doing it for like, damn, it's been like almost technically 20 years plus because the internet technically existed back in the 90s. It's more like servers back in the day and chat rooms, but legitimate websites came around back around like 2002, 2001 when the Y2K shit happened. Which, by the way, funniest story ever.
Yeah, no, the whole fact that people were in bunkers and they thought at 12 o'clock the entire infrastructure was going to go down, and absolutely nothing happened. And here we are 20 years later with AI, pretty much destroying everything. And when I mean by destroying everything, I mean taking a lot of people's jobs because it can do it better most of the time.
Right. But
You
guess
know,
what? Just like before, Tensions are really high. It's going to be the Y2K scandal all over again, and nothing will happen. And I take comfort in that because no matter it, honestly, it doesn't really matter what kind of events that's going to happen around me. I just know that I'm going to be okay, dead or alive, because I have hope at the end of the day. Actually, going back to religion part of the podcast, I do want to say one more thing about the afterlife. I just want to add on to that anyway. Um, my belief when it comes to the afterlife is everyone goes down this river of energy to the main source of it all, which is, by the way, purple. I still don't know what that means. I saw it on acid trip forever ago. I had it in an acid trip forever ago, and the acid trip really led me to like this ball of purple energy where every spirit is like residing in. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, so I try to avoid purple everywhere I go. It's just a bad omen or a good omen. It seems like it's both ways, but I don't trust it yet. That's just me personally. That's my daily
Hey,
omen, just purple. And
yeah, but you
the
can't
okay,
really blame. You can't.
let me finish this real quick.
Go ahead.
I forgot to tell you about the afterlife. But ever since I had that vision, I always thought about the afterlife as like a choice per se. Like you wake up as like some kind of energy, and Neil deGrasse Tyson said it right. Like when you die, you'll just become energy and be one with the universe. But it's a literal thing in my version. Like you go to the river of energy and everything, and yeah, I am gonna make the choice of not going through that energy because I'm still superstitious about the color purple, and I'm just gonna explore the universe, and until the sun explodes or something, or reset the whole Big Bang, you know, just to go on a grand adventure like every Star Wars film ever across the galaxy. I'm gonna explore a lot of things in space. It's gonna be great.
Well, exactly what I was going to say before. Nothing's really told to us about what we're doing here in life or what's going to be here after death. So can't really blame someone for having their own set of rules that they live by. I don't think there's really such a thing as ridiculous as long as you're not hurting other people around you.
Of course, of course. That's the
Yeah.
problem. Some people don't know when they're hurting people. That's also another problem with society. And I think it all comes back to consideration, and nobody has consideration anymore. But I digress. Continue on with your thoughts.
Oh, listen, at the end of the day, we're living in a society where, we're getting, slowly and slowly squeezed out of everything. Nothing's worth it anymore. You go to an amusement park, it's, absorbently more expensive than it's, really worth going to. Same with vacations, same with grocery shopping, same with housing and renting. It all kind of ties into humans and their ability to work, and when that work is still not enough, and that falls into the whole having families, and how are we supposed to if you're not having a family, then what are you really doing in life? You're just kind of living for you. But then it's another problem when you actually want to have a family but you can't afford to have that family.
Or let alone find a partner that wants to procreate, you know?
All right, it's
There's way too many dominoes that are stacking up right now, and I don't
you know
like it when it falls.
yeah, exactly. I mean, even the was it the creator of OnlyFans, passed away
Oh,
recently, but just that,
yeah.
you know, you know, but just that whole era of OnlyFans, and what that's done to a lot of dating, where it's like, people are out to make money. Obviously, there's people out to find love, but it's far and few between.
Hmm. And I don't really mind it. I know I'm missing a part of it, obviously. But I think I can firmly say that I think I have let go the love of my life uh, a while ago, and that was like 10, 20. Yeah, holy shit. Almost 18, 17 years ago now. And I could firmly believe in that too because, that's pretty much bad luck on my end. I could live without it though. I could firmly say. Kind of hardened me at the end of the day, emotionally, that I can't really give as much anymore because of the hurt. But that's fine because I'll eventually heal with Lady Luck on my side, of course.
Everything in life happens for a reason. You may not know that reason yet, but it all has a purpose eventually. Sometimes it takes, a couple minutes. Sometimes it takes a few days. Sometimes it may take years. Sometimes you may never find out.
Huh. And I'm okay with not finding out. I like a mystery since everything is out there and everything.
Well, as you were talking about earlier about, magic and music and, the magic in the world,
Yeah.
has our bodies have energy in it. Our bodies have souls and they have spirits. It's got to go somewhere. Afterlife, and has to do with paranormal and the universe. We're just a small little speck in a universe. We have no
Oh
idea
yeah,
what's out there.
definitely.
You know, so
Especially, I have a lot of faith in the future when it comes to space travel. So at least that's nice. So eventually we will get to another galaxy and start making friends out there. I hope. That's the good ending of humanity. Making a whole community in our own universe. That's my version of a humanity's happy ending. And we collectively become a hive mind in a good way, obviously, because individualism wouldn't matter when we have a whole community in the universe to take care of and one another, like Star Trek, you know?
another one that comes to mind is like Futurama, when
Oh
Fry falls
yeah,
asleep for 1,000 years.
yeah. Something like that will definitely happen in the future because there is no in all that is holy and all the luck in the universe. There cannot be just us. It sounds completely impossible to let it be only us. And I'm not letting a goddamn Christian beat me to this theory, alright? We are not alone in the universe. Aliens do exist, and they're just waiting for us to make it out there. Whatever kind of external threat that we will come across in the future, we will overcome it. I promise you that, at least. And later on, our ancestors will figure out that, we used to be here. And we left a bunch of things behind, and what I'm going to leave behind personally for humanity is my first novel. That is
Well,
another way of being immortal, my friend. Let me tell you.
well, as much as I could say technology's around, for the long time, it doesn't take much for it to disappear. But, you can't forget about a digital footprint too. There's definitely different ways now besides books, because unfortunately you got to think about the amount of literature over the thousands of years of humanity, that's been lost, unfortunately.
Hmm. But don't worry, I'm going to throw my waterproof safe at the in the Atlantic Ocean with my first novel wrapped in plastic, air sealed tight, inside another in another safe, so that it will last the whole millennia of humanity. It's gonna be great. And whenever they find it, they're gonna be like, "Oh my God, it's from 2028." It's a rarity. I'm gonna make somebody happy, even in the future. Hopefully, they like my first book.
Yeah, fair enough, man. At that, in that case, then, shit, checkmate, 4D chess.
Oh, 4D chest. God, you just gotta think of the positives. That's how I think.